So this is another implementation. Fact0 is 1 and fact n minus 1. So I'll just copy it down. Name of the function doesn't matter. Second, third is already there. FOURTH. Now this is fourth implementation, and this implementation reads, this uses the concept of pattern matching. So whenever fact0 is called, I will return 1, and whenever fact n is called, I will be returning n into fact n minus 1. This is again a recursive call. Here I'm not using if else construct. I'm just banking on the use of pattern matching that we studied in Friday's lecture. So whenever the call is made with parameter, actual parameter as 0, the line number 27 will execute or will take on the definition of fact function, which will return 1. And whenever fact n is called, that is a general value n is called than 0, then the subroutine n into fact n minus 1 will be invoked. Okay, so that is also another way of implementing factorial of a number. Okay, so this is about the first recursive function that we had already seen. If you remember, these all things are already known to you. Now there are some more recursive subroutines that I have written, which we will look at and which will understand the code first, and then we'll run them later on as the time permits us to do. Okay, now I will be checking the code of, say, which one we should do first. Okay, we'll do multiplication first. So rec underscore multiplication dot hs. So I'm opening this file. So this particular function multiplies two integers in a recursive manner. So we know that multiplication of two integers. So I'll just show you on the I'm using this as a blackboard. So now this is multiplication, a recursive implementation of multiplication. So I'm implementing multiplication in the recursive manner. So I'm doing m into n, or I'm implementing m into n in recursive manner. So m is one input, n is another input. So m into n can be realized as a multiplication m into m plus m plus this happens n times. So this is how I can actually realize multiplication, and this is how the multiplication occurs in reality. So whenever I'm multiplying, say, 3 into 2, whenever I'm multiplying 3 into 2, it is actually I'm doing 3 plus 3. This is what I'm doing, right? So 3 into 2 is also 6. It is very much equivalent to 3 plus 3, which is also 6. So this is how we do multiplication. Like, so for instance, if I do 7 into 4, I'm actually doing 7 plus 7 plus 7 plus 7. Okay, so to realize multiplication, I can write a recursive subroutine that adds one of the argument second number of times. So what we need to do is we need to add first argument second number of times. So 7 I need to add itself 4 times. Where 4 is the second argument, 7 is the first argument. So this is the basis for writing this code, and we are using recursive implementation that relies on pattern matching, and the implementation is this. So the first definition of mult says that my first parameter could be anything, that its matching is not done, whereas the second parameter must be 0. So if a sequence comes where my multiplication is 7 mult 7 0 mult space 7 space 0, it means I'm multiplying 7 with 0. So 7 into 0 is 0, right? So I need not actually do anything over there. Okay, need not do anything over there. Okay, the other thing that I need to do is I need to write this. So the way I've written is actually a bit non-obvious. That is why I'm writing it in this reverse manner. So I'll tell you why I did that later. So now this second definition is multiplication of nm. So I have two numbers n and m, and I'm multiplying them together. Now this pattern will be reached whenever m is not 0. So whenever m is not 0, I will be doing multiplication m and m. So there are two inputs n and m. Okay, why n and m? I could take it m and n, but then I'll need to reverse the other part as well. So first parameter I'm taking as n, second parameter I'm taking as m. So n will be added to itself m number of times. This is what the definition is. So I will add n plus multiplication of n and m minus 1. So multiplication of n and m minus 1 means adding n m minus 1 number of times, and this is added to a single n. So that will be n added m minus 1 number of times. So this is a mathematical definition. Now how you realize this? This is purely skill based thing. You need to start thinking रिकर्सिवली क्या ऑपरेशन हो रहा है. रिकर्सिवली यानी एक के बाद एक रिपीटेशन हो रहा है ऑपरेशन का. कौन सा ऑपरेशन रिपीटेशन हो रहा है? मल्टीप्लिकेशन में एडिशन हो रहा है. किस चीज का एडिशन? एक पैरामीटर का एडिशन. कितने बार रिपीटेशन हो रहा है? जितनी बार पहला दूसरा नंबर है उतनी बार. So this you need to realize, and then you need to formula write it in terms of a formula. ये आपको purely skill based चीज है. ये experience के साथ आपको आएगा. So you need to try practicing writing these subroutines yourself, not by looking at any book. You might write it something differently as well. Now, an important thing is, what if one of m or n is negative? So this particular thing, this particular implementation does not take care of that scenario. Okay, what if m is negative? What is n is negative? So this is not taking care of that. We are assuming that our user is very sensible user, and he's going to input two positive numbers, and we are multiplying only two positive numbers for this implementation. Now I'll show you another implementation which is a bit more involved, and I will so that implementation is multiplication with cards. Okay, yeah, so this is more involved subroutine. It also does multiplication of two numbers, but there is no restriction now whether the number should be positive or negative. I may have both number negatives. I may have one of them negative and the other negative. Okay, so check it. So if n equals to 0, I'm returning 0. M equals to 0, I'm returning 0. If m is less than 0 and n is less than 0, so I have logical connectives. I have conditional checks, range checks. So m can be less than 0 and n can be less than 0, means both are 0. Okay, and if I have m less than 0, if I have n less than 0, and if none of these conditions are true, then I do this. Okay. Now I'll just tell you what this construct is. This construct is called as a guard. So guard goes like this. I write function name, I write parameter list, the input parameters are 2, n and m, and then I write a vertical line, which is referred to as the syntax for providing a guard. Guard guards the input range. So I can have condition based on inputs which I provide. So when I give input n and m values, say 2 and 3, the condition that I provide with the guard will be evaluated. Whenever that condition is true, the corresponding function body is going to get executed. So it is something like patterns, but in pattern, we do it purely on the basis of definition of the pattern, and the pattern itself has certain constants in it. Okay, there are no ranges, there are no evaluations done. But in guard, we are evaluating the inputs. Whether the inputs are matching certain conditions, I will execute certain things. Okay, here we are saying that n is 0. So the first multiplicand is 0. Then the multiplication is going to be definitely 0. So I'll return 0. If second multiplicand is 0, then I'll return 0. if first or the second, first and the second both multiplicants are zero, are not zero, are negative, then I will negate them and just multiply them, because you know minus 2 into minus 3 is plus 6, where 3 into 2 gets multiplied, that minus 1 gets multiplied to become plus 1. So I just negate first one, negate second one, and then multiply them. Okay, because the subroutine that we have written over here can multiply only positive numbers. So we are taking care using regards that the inputs that we are going to provide to mult1 are turned positive before they are provided. Okay, now we are also taking care that the result also preserved, its sign also is preserved. So if I multiply minus 2 with 3, 3 gets multiplied with 2, and the minus 1 again gets multiplied, so that the sign is reversed. Okay, so m less than 0, minus 1 into multiplication, n into minus m. Similarly, n is less than 0, minus 1 into multiplication of minus this. So I need to write minus 1 into m again. I can actually write minus of this whole expression. It means the same, but it actually takes care that I do not, sorry, here the bracket should be. Yeah, so this will negate the whole answer that I am receiving. Okay, this is more natural to us. नहीं तो आप बोलोगे कि multiplication star को implement करने के लिए आपने star उसके अंदर use किया. Okay, that doesn't matter. So this is how it is implemented. And otherwise कब आएगा, जब भी mn 0, m या n में से कोई भी 0 नहीं है और mn में से कोई भी नेगेटिव नहीं है, तो ही आप यहाँ पहुंचोगे. यानी दोनों पॉजिटिव है तो आप सही करोगे. मल्टीप्लीकेशन 1 इज इक्वल एन m minus 1 plus n. So that is how we have implemented a recursive multiplication with guards. So we have used the concept of guard, and concept of guard says that I can guard the input range, and based on the conditions that I provide as guard conditions, I can decide what to do as function body. Okay, so I have parametric polymorphism here. So I can change how the function definition looks based on the parameters and certain conditions. Okay, so this is another way of implementing or showing polymorphism. So we are using both the concept composition of the function, because recursion requires you to write composite functions. So mult1 is a composite function of f of x kind. So f को evaluate करने के लिए f को आपको evaluate पहले करना पड़ेगा with parameter x. That is how this thing works. I hope you understand this part. Now we will see what else we have at plate. So okay, the next thing is log to the base 2 of a number. So we'll first execute this. So far we have not seen any execution, so you'll say that are these functions not executing or what? No, they are all executing. I'm going to provide you with these codes. Don't worry about that through the lab. So I'll be loading this log2. Okay, so it has, I guess, a function log2. Okay, this function is log2. I need to give it an input, say 6. Okay, so it says an error. So the function is, I guess, this. So the log2 6. I need to first check what is the way the function is defined. Let me first open it for taking the content. Yeah, so log2 base and 0. So I need to provide two inputs, base and 0. Okay, so I need to use the syntax log2, then I need to provide base, and then I need to provide the input. So this is how. So hopefully it will compute log of 6 to the base 2 using this syntax. Yes, it is computing. So I didn't realize how exactly I had implemented. Sorry for that. If I have certain thing like say 2, it will be 1 log 2 to the base 2. Say log 32, 232, it will be 7. So it is computing log of a number to the base. Okay, so this is exactly what log function looks like to the base 2. Realize that we are only computing the whole number part of the log. The mantissa part of 7 point something, that part we are not computing here. Okay, so the function for you is base 0, we are returning -1. Log 2 to the base n, we are returning 1 plus log 2 base divide. So we are using integer division n with base. So if you use div uh, with say 43 to say 2, it will be 21. So it is an integer division. And instead of this, if I use this division, it will give me a fractional value 21.5. So div operator in Haskell gives me an integer division, and that is exactly I have used here. Okay, so I'm changing the input by doing continuous division, reduction of the number. Okay, यहाँ पे मैंने base use किया है, so I can actually even with log 2, instead of 2 I can use 3, and if I use 3 and if I use say 9, you'll realize that I'm going to get 2. So I can change the base of this particular system. I can have this as 4, and I can have 64 to return 3, because 64 is 4 raised to 3. So log 4 raised to 3 to the base 4 is 3 times log 4 to the base 4. Log 4 to the base 4 is 1. So 3 into 1 is 1. So that is how we are computing. So we are generalizing this. Although I've named it as log 2, it is actually generalizing it. So what I'll do is I'll just do one little change, and for doing that I need to start the editor. I don't know whether the editor is there. Okay, editor is not set, so I need to first set the editor. So set editor, and I need to give it the name, the nano, and then I'll use edit. So I will add log equals log 2. Okay, this is an interesting thing. So I've loaded it. So now I'll write log, say again same thing, base 2 and 64. Okay, it is actually an ambiguity because prelude also has a function called as log. So I will say main.log. I want to invoke log from main. If I use 3, it will give you 3. If I use 4, so I am now computing log to different bases. Now यहाँ पे क्या हुआ मैं थोड़ा आपको बताता हूँ. It says that ambiguous occurrence of log. So we wanted to evaluate this function log. But in Prelude, the standard library of Haskell, already there is a log function. So prelude.log is the log function from Prelude. And we also have main.log. So to distinguish between these two implementation of log, I need to provide the module dot, I need to use syntax module dot function name. And that is what I did. And that is why what saved me from PT. Fine, understood how the recursive function of log works, and also the beauty of syntax wherein I can just rename the functions by giving them new names. So this is another type of polymorphism. This is non-parametric polymorphism, and I'm using function like variables. I'm assigning one function to another function by just merely saying this equals that, this name equals that, which we could only do with variables in C programming language. Mind well, there is syntax for doing this in C programming as well, but it's not this simple. Okay, it's not this simple. I should say there is syntax, but it's not this much simple. Okay, now we'll realize how we can implement, I guess, the addition. This next thing is yeah, add is there, extract is there. So we'll see this extract, what exactly we are doing here. So I'll just show you the code. recursive extract.hs. Okay, so this is, so this operator, you know, this is an extraction operator. Okay, this is an extraction operator which extracts certain thing from a input. Okay, so this extraction operator we are implementing with name extract. तो यहाँ पे आप देखोगे मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ. I have a signature that reads like this. So there are two constraints. I have to have equality implemented for type A, and type A must be a numeric type. So these are two type class constraints that I'm using, and my input should be a list and a number, and I should return a number. So now you know what these three mappings mean. First input should be a list, second input should be a number, and output should be a number. So just to make you recollect, what we are implementing is we are implementing this particular operation in Haskell. So this says I have a list, I have an extraction operation, and 3 is my input. It will return 7 because 7 is at the place 3 in the list. If I use 0, it will return me 4. So we have written this recursive procedure that does this functionality. So what we are doing is we are extracting x colon xs 0. So if my position 0 element I need to extract, okay, from a list that exists, then what I will do is I will find head of the list, which is here in this case x. Okay, x colon xs always gives me the head of the list. It always gives me head of the list in x and tail in xs. So I am saying that I will be returning x. I will be returning the head if I require 0th position. Fine. If the list is empty and I require any position, यानी list अगर empty है और मैं कुछ extract करना चाहता हूँ, कुछ भी extract करूँ empty list से, I'm going to get -1 as an error message because all index are greater than length of the list. Now we are extracting from a list some nth value or nth indexed term. Nth indexed term I want to extract. Then I will extract from the tail n minus 1th term. Okay, so this is the recursion or recursive step. Okay, this particular step is called as my basis step. This we are using to avoid certain overflows that will occur. So this is kind of again a basis step. So there are two basis steps here. Either when the index is 0 or when we are extracting something from an empty list. Okay, so there are two basis steps, and then whenever the list exists and we are extracting nth term from the list, we just extract from the tail of the list n minus first term, and we go on doing this until we reach a list which has the n terms. Now for example, so I'll just take this out and I'll take an example in order that you understand what is happening. In this case, so we have only 10 minutes left. I'll just explain this and stop. So extract, so we are writing extract from a list 2, 3, 4, 5 item at position say 2. Okay, so this maps to line number 59. And when I write this in the equivalent terms of the function call, it reads like this. So 2, and this is the tail of the list. So this is now equivalent to, now if I see the right hand side of this equal to sign, it should be this, which is, just copying it down. I know I'm hurrying a bit, but then you'll realize this what is happening. So this XS is nothing but 3, 4, 5. And 2 minus 1. So actually this turns to be 1 and this. So this becomes now 3. Okay, which now I'll be doing it very fast. Just copy it down and you realize how this is happening. So this comes as 4:5 and this becomes 0. So this becomes 0. So now this maps to line number 57. So far we were mapping to line number 59, pattern matching. Here it will map to line number 57. So the definition will be, we will be returning 4 as our output. So output of this will be 4. We will be returning 4. And this 4 is nothing but the first element, the element with index 1 in the given list. Okay, sorry, element with index 2 in the given list. Sorry for my mistake. So this is how we will implement. So today we have seen certain recursive implementation, and hopefully you have understood the thing. I will be uploading this video on YouTube. You are supposed to watch this video before 3:30 today. Sorry, 4 o'clock today. We will have a half an hour lecture at 4 o'clock where we will be discussing about your doubts, your issues in executing this code. Okay, thank you and goodbye for the day. We'll meet on Friday at usual time 8:30 and 4 o'clock. Thank you.